Irashaimase. Hello and welcome to Fataris' Kitchen. I'm your host, Chef Fataris. It's time once again for Shoot 'em Up Saturday, and on the menu this Saturday we have HellStar Squadron, a retro-inspired bullet hell that recently came out on Steam. What kind of taste will it have? Let's get cooking and find out. From Cosmic Crystal Games, HellStar Squadron is a title I've really enjoyed my time with. So before we get going, let's have a quick look at settings. For a budget title, this one really does have a couple nice options. So we do have this retro CRT shader if you're looking for those retro feel scan lines. There's also a Tate mode, and you can play in full screen or window. Definitely nice options there. Once we jump into the play game, we're given two choices. We can either load a game, which will allow us to start the game at a previous stage that we had exited, so you can play through like half the game, exit, and then jump right back in at a future time. It's really a nice feature to have. And then when we select new game, we get to select between the three characters that we can play as, or rather three ships. And you see the ships there on the right side. There's the Azure, there's Citron, and there's Emerald, which is the ship I'll be taking to show you today, although I will go and show you a little bit of the other two ships as well. As we jump into the game itself, we're given a quick story. Basically, we're the HellStar Squadron that's trying to stop this demonic rebellion from overthrowing/destroying the government known as Paradise of this future society. Once we skip past the story, we get our stage select. Unfortunately, we can't start the game at any point that we want. At the beginning of each stage, and also before you fight the bosses, there are these little dialogue sections with the bosses themselves. It's possible to advance and skip the text boxes, so that's something to know that's quite useful. So here we have HellStar Squadron. It's your basic vertical scrolling shoot 'em up with shades of bullet hell. So we've got a standard shot on our ship that starts out decently powered, but we can go and power it up with some power-ups that we can obtain. Although the power-up system is interesting in this game. I'll get to that in just a second. We also have a beam attack that we can use. The beam attack also acts as a focus, so it'll also decrease your movement speed, allowing you to dodge around bullets more easily. Although, one thing to note, the hitbox of our ship is actually quite large, so you have to be careful even if you're using the focus. And we also have a bomb, which will destroy enemies on screen, as well as clear the bullets that are on screen as well, though sometimes the timing of that can be a little finicky. And of course we can also pause. You can see all these controls, of course, are on the right side of the screen as well. Alright, so here we are at our first boss fight. It's a good opportunity to stop and talk about the power-ups. So the power-ups in this game work a little bit differently. There are 4 possible power-ups. Life power-ups, which basically give us extra life, so we can only ever have a maximum of 3. Bomb power-ups. There's also shields and weapon power-ups. We can go and power our weapon up from level 1 all the way up to level 4, but if we die, that will reset all the way back to level 1, unfortunately. I always appreciate it when a game doesn't set you all the way back for death, but oh well, such is as it is. But the interesting thing about the power-up system is the power-ups just come down from the top of the screen seemingly at random. And definitely what you'll receive is random, so sometimes you're in need of a particular power-up and it just doesn't show up. Right now, the last 2 power-ups that have dropped have both been shields, which have been nice, but really we only need 1. It would have been great to get another weapon power-up or another bomb per se. Well, anyway, after a little bit of time shooting the boss goes down. We get a little bit more dialogue, and we're on to the next stage. Now, meeting certain criteria throughout the course of the run will sometimes yield a bonus stage. And those bonus stages will allow you to unlock yet another character. And that character is Niji, that goes and flies the rainbow-colored ship. And this one's a really neat one to go and see. So we'll start by showing off that one first. So Niji has like these awesome photon blast and energon shots, which are rainbow hued, so they're going and changing color. And the boss fights, which you use to unlock Niji, are also the same way. So they're a little bit trippy, but it's a great effect to go and see. So the other two ships, Azure uses the wave gun, and her options are just your basic turrets. Relatively straightforward, a nice close spread of shots, and a great ship to use. And at last we have Citron. Citron's main weapon is the laser cannon, and the options fire missiles. You get some decent spread and what I feel should be a little bit more power, but it doesn't come out quite as good as you would hope with those missiles flying everywhere. So one thing about HellStar Squadron that I can definitely say is in most situations you're far better off using the beam weapons of each ship than you are using your standard weapon. And the reason that is the beams pierce, so you can potentially hit multiple enemies at once even if you're doing slightly less damage when you're using the beam. So that's an important thing to note. The bombs can deal a pretty hefty amount of damage to the bosses, but as I mentioned, your power-ups are random, and unlike a lot of other shoot-em-ups, when you die, your stock of bombs does not get replenished. So you're at the mercy of the random drops to actually get enough bombs to do significant damage to a boss. Alright, stage 2 knocked out, on to stage 3. So, some minuses and pluses about the title. So one thing that I really don't like is how big the hitbox on your ship is. It takes some getting used to, but admittedly once you are used to it, it's no longer becomes as big of a problem. Then we have all these characters. There's 4 characters total once you've unlocked the extra character, but yet the dialogue is always the same for every character. Despite the fact the character portrait changes, what's being said is always the same, and that's a little bit disappointing. It would have been nice if there was a little bit more character given to each character. Plus flavors though, the game itself just has some basic fun vertical scrolling shoot 'em up action going on here, and it's just an enjoyable title to sit down and play. The boss fights in particular I find can be quite fun. Managing to learn the patterns and just kicking back and slowly whittling away at the boss's life bar. And also the title is a great value. Really, it's only $2 US on Steam, and it's definitely well worth that cost and then some. So in the end, especially given its price point, I can highly recommend that you try out HellStar Squadron. Alright, that'll just about wrap it up for this week's episode of Shoot 'em Up Saturday. As always, I want to thank you so much for coming out and joining me, and I look forward to seeing you again next week.